To turn up the volume on a topic that's been kept on mute for far too long. Period poverty in Malaysia. Hello, good evening and welcome back to another episode of Women Talk with me, your host, Sazzy Falak. And today, I'm going to be talking about a topic that's been on my mind a lot for the past couple of years, and I feel like it's a conversation that we don't have enough of, which is period poverty. And this is a real struggle, ladies and gentlemen, because a lot of women of our generation today are very bothered by this particular issue. And get this, a study by Kotex in 2022 found that over half of female students in Malaysia actually want to skip school when they're on their period. Now, it's not just about, not having what you need during the time of the month, but it's also about not having the proper hygiene care and, most of all, the education of it all. So joining me today in this lovely afternoon or evening is my guest, Melise Tan, founder of Bobble, Southeast Asia's first eco-organic menstrual wellness company providing safer and sustainable period care. Hi, Melise.
Hi.
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
And for the first time, I'm meeting Dr. Fatima Al-Atas, a sociologist, assistant professor at the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, and coordinator of the Unit for Social Issues and Development, Advocacy and Research, International Islamic University Malaysia. Now that's a mouthful, but so lovely to have both of you here with me today. So like I mentioned earlier on, it's a topic that it's discussed, but I don't think we are having enough conversations on it, especially when it comes to the lack of education for the young girls out there, outside of the cities and such. So we're going to dive in deeper into the topic. Okay, for you, Dr. Fatima, how do you think is it that we are able to get to this point where a lot of our young females are lacking in education when it comes to proper hygiene care, especially when it comes to their menstruation?
So when we say period poverty, we mean the inability to manage menstrual health and menstrual management. So it's products, right? Yes. Facilities, education, but also access to medical care as and when we need it in a way that is accessible to us. But also it's the culture around period, and that's something you highlight, that the muting of it, or we call it the culture of concealment. So period poverty is a wealth inequality issue and a gender inequality issue.
Yeah, okay. So, and again, the question, how do you think we got to this point? Is it because we're not talking about it enough, the policies or whatever? Could you maybe perhaps elaborate on that?
I think it's that culture of concealment is one of the main reasons. Because when we have the culture of concealment, it's not just girls are not talking about it. It's their teachers, their moms, their parents, our politicians, our policymakers, researchers, people who make innovations and designs of menstrual products, people who take care of our facilities. So that culture of concealment keeps us silent about it.
I guess because it's such a taboo topic. It's still kind of a taboo topic, which is, for me, ridiculous, but that's my personal views. But any specific calls to action would be best to raise awareness on period poverty? Any actions that you think might help in changing that?
We need to break the concealment. I think I agree with you. Obviously, it shouldn't be. Women make half of the population, and we menstruate for 30, 40 years of our lives.
Yes.
And it's not a one-time event. It's a monthly event. So it's not really something that's foreign or new or only happens sometimes. But the fact that we can keep it silent for so long, and for so many of us, it's a real mystery. So we need to unpack the silence, and we need to raise, more conversations, not just about period poverty, but what we need to address those issues.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Now, Melise, how has your entrepreneurial venture contributed to innovative solutions for women to gain equal access to ideal products?
Well, first I want to say that innovative solutions, be it products or services, shouldn't really always be about serving something that's trendy or gimmicky. I believe that innovative solutions need to solve real problems. Innovative solutions needs to be able to address the demands and the needs of a consumer. In this case, it's, like you mentioned, about half of the population.
Yeah.
And going into this business in the space of menstrual health and well-being, it's not a very glamorous industry. As you mentioned, there's a lot of taboo and stigma surrounding this. There's a lot of education that comes with the responsibility as a business towards this. And for me, there's reasons why I went into it. I'll be honest, it kind of started off of trying to solve my own problem about 7 years ago, where I was looking for safer and sustainable alternatives when it came to my period care.
Yes.
And although in the West they have access to it there, but I realized that in Southeast Asia we just did not have access to that. And as I was doing my own research and just really curious about this space, not only did I discover that with a lot of the incumbent brands that we're so used to growing up with, a lot of the ingredients that's being used can trigger allergens, skin rashes more frequently during your periods. A lot of plastics and biochemicals go into the production of these products.
Yeah.
So I feel that is a double-edged sword in terms of the problem that's there. It's both the safety aspect for women and the sustainability, given that this is something that we're using in such a large volume.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's an industry that's been around for so long, and it's not really been disrupted, at least in our part of the world. And it goes back to this concealment that you're talking about.
You don't want to talk about it. So.
Yeah, and I have daughters, I mean, you have daughters as well, and I feel that, you know, I also learned and I realized how little I actually knew about my own period and about menstrual health, menstrual equity, and I wouldn't know how to educate and have that conversation with my daughter and my sons as well one day.
And your sons as well.
And my sons as well.
And not emphasize more on that. Men also need to understand how women function and what happens during our monthly menstruation. Anyway, sorry, continue, please.
So, I mean, I wanted to make sure that I was solving one problem without adding to another. So safety and sustainability are two core pillars as part of our purpose at Bobble. And also another big purpose as I think it's important for us as a brand and as a business to take that responsibility to ensure that we're educating about this space along the way.
Yeah.
So as I said, I was in those shoes 7 years ago, and I felt that there was a gap in the space, and it's 2024, coming to 2024, I mean, it's about time the space is disrupted, and these conversations need to be had, and it's across both and all genders.
Yes.
It's not just a women's problem.
Yes.
And it starts now, how we have these conversations with our sons, our daughters. I mean, one day our sons are going to grow up to be brothers, husbands, boyfriends, whatnot, right?
We're going to dive more into that after the break. We're going to go for a short, quick break. And yes, don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back again. Thanks for still tuning in to Women Talk. We're talking about period poverty. We've got Melissa Tan as well as Dr. Fatima with me. So, Doctor, I just want to go back to you, right? Just now earlier on, we touched on like innovative solutions, but I just want to get your take again. Like, how do you see innovative solutions contributing to changing the narrative and breaking the cycle of stigma associated with menstruation?
I think innovation is really important because just now we highlighted we make half of the population, and we need, we can go to the moon now, but our period products still look the same, And
Not that you say it that way.
And also how we teach children, how we teach adults, how we make toilets. We don't really cater toilets to women's needs of changing our sanitary products. So if we can talk about it and we can gain interest from diverse expertise, then we can see innovation in so many ways because the market is there, right? Women will always menstruate, so that's something that will always happen. So we just need to sort of spark the conversation and interest in the area.
Exactly. And we were just talking about how we teach our children. I think it needs to start, and I would encourage parents, mothers, even fathers out there to start having these conversations with your girls and of course even your boys, because when they are equipped with proper knowledge, then they know how to handle it better.
Absolutely,
But let's go to you, Melissa. I know you've done collaborations with other businesses like NGOs or government initiatives to amplify the impact of your efforts in combating period poverty. Can you share with us about that journey?
Yeah, I mean, this was especially accelerated during COVID, where a lot of women did not have access to basic menstrual hygiene products. So we reached out, and we also had several NGOs and organizations reach out to us to support some of these relief efforts. So, for example, SWWS, which is Sarawak Women for Women's Society, in the East, a lot of women, especially in the B40 sector, had lost their jobs due to COVID.
Yes.
And with what little money that they had left, obviously that is prioritized for their family and feeding their family.
Yes.
And so their menstrual hygiene became an opportunity cost, and they would have to then turn to using old rags and cloth, right? Coconut House newspapers. We've all heard these stories, and it's actually like happening. I mean, it's like an hour flight, basically, right? And it's quite sad to see that this is happening to our fellow Malaysians, our fellow community. So we actually sent over aid in terms of pads. So working with organizations helps to build that bridge for direct access to certain communities that we may not be able to access.
Yeah.
I mean, women who lost their homes during the flooding. We had a lot of flooding over the last few years.
Right.
So we were part of the essential items sort of kit, and so because we're considered essential items business, we were able to still continue running during COVID, and that's also scaled our efforts in terms of access and working with more partners and channels who are more aware of what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So as a purpose-driven business, we ensure that this is as much a part of our business as it is growing the business as well. So it's that balance between purpose and profits, which is a challenge for a small business, and I'm still learning, I'll be honest about that. But that's a big passion of mine, and it's a big core part of our DNA.
Yeah, but from when you started to where you are right now, it's just been an incredible journey. I've seen that.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just kind of want to go back to when we were talking about education for children. Like, what would be the advice you want to give to mothers out there in terms of having the conversation with your children? Maybe you could tell us in a step-by-step manner, or give some examples on what do they need to focus on when it comes to talking about this. Starting with Doctor?
Yeah. I think one of the most important thing I would tell moms and dads is that it's not a one conversation. You
Doesn't happen one time.
Yes. So don't make it that one awkward conversation for you and your child.
Yeah.
So make sure that you always have an open communication line. So it has to start slowly, and then, there's always space for them to come back and ask you about it.
Yeah.
So that should always be something that's available. Don't anticipate, okay, they're going to reach puberty, it's about time I need to start read up. No, we start from when they're small, teach them about their body parts, naming body parts correctly, introducing them to pads, and that moms menstruate, and this is what happens, and girls will get their menstruation. So just making it as a part of normal human life.
Absolutely.
It's part of our nature. Jangan malu, jangan takut. It's something that happens to us, and it's a beautiful thing, actually.
Yeah.
But for such a long time, people looked at it as something that's disgusting, something yang jijik,
absolutely. Yeah.
right? What about you?
I mean, first and foremost, periods is not dirty. Period blood is not dirty.
It's actually our cleansing period.
Yep, and we don't actually need to wash our menstrual hygiene products. I know that socially or culturally there are some practices with that, but it's actually not absolutely necessary. But going back to your question, I totally agree. Start young. Of course, yes, we should read up. We can have the conversations with our friends. We have to be comfortable saying the words and having that conversation and thinking about the language used, right? So calling a period as it is, it's a period. Calling, like you said, body parts the right way. So knowing the difference between a vagina and a vulva. A lot of women still don't know that. So even with my 6-year-old daughter, she already understands what is a period. When mommy has a period, what does she use? And I'm already starting to have that conversation with her. And I equally want to have that conversation with my 2 sons when they grow up. They're kids now. But I think that it's important to normalize a conversation at home. But this is not just a woman's problem, and this is not just mum's responsibility.
Yes.
So I've
also the society.
Well, my husband, he's going to watch this. But I pull my husband into the conversation as well. So he's also comfortable. I mean, I've also educated him as well. He's very supportive and understands PMS, so things like PMS and supportive me in that way. But I think it's also him empowered with the knowledge himself on menstrual cycles, menstruation, etc., etc. So he's able to have those conversations, because when my daughter gets her period one day, let's just say I'm out somewhere or traveling somewhere, and my husband's there,
and your husband's there,
he needs to know what to do and how to have that conversation. And I think we need to celebrate this period of excuse the pun.
Of womanhood.
Yeah. Right, of womanhood, rather than this is a scary, shameful thing, like what's happening to me. But, you know, I've talked to my daughter already about when you get your period, we're going to have a period party.
I love this conversation where it's going. I mean, there's so many ways. I would say also go onto social media or even the internet. There's so much information. If you feel like you're a parent that's not fully equipped with knowledge. But anyway, we're going to go for a quick break and we'll be right back after this. Hello, welcome back, and thanks for still tuning in. We're talking about period poverty, and you know, I just want to stress about why is it that when it comes to period, it gets labeled as something disgusting. It's that mindset that people still have, you know, and then because of that, a lot of women don't talk about it enough, and that you know leads to a lot of health issues. So, but what do you think that is? You know, why people? Is it because of the cultural thing, or it's? Yeah, maybe you can explain from your point of view.
I think it's a mixture of cultural, but it's not just about the idea of being dirty or that the blood is dirty. You know, there are different cultures that believe that it's not just the blood that's dirty, but when you're menstruating, you're also dirty. And there's also the belief of being weak in a weak state. So that's what makes us not want to talk about our menstruation. But that's, of course, not true, right? And menstruation or period is just part of being human. And in fact, if you're menstruating, you're a healthy, you know, you're having a healthy body,
Exactly. And it's like, zaman dulu-dulu lah, I would say. Zaman, like my younger days, even though I'm still young. You know, when it comes to when we have our period, you know, can you pass me a pad? And we're like, hush, take the pad, in the bag and run. Why is that? And why were we taught that? Because in the end, I have my period. Can you pass me a pad? Carry it with dignity to the restroom. You know? What are your personal thoughts on that? Like, how can we change this?
I mean, we got to work collectively. Obviously, we have the power to make change in our own small circles at home. For us, we also encourage working with businesses, with schools, the community to make those changes and really create accessibility where young girls and women learn, work, and play. So, for example, we're trying to push the agenda with our corporate partners and providing free period care in the workplace, right? And make this a well-known initiative that they're supporting women in the workplace, and likewise in schools, right? How do we have free period care available in schools? Obviously, we want to support those initiatives with education that comes with that. And I feel that we're only really going to start to see the needle change if it's more of a collective effort.
We need to bring men into the conversation.
Precisely.
So it's not something, you know, that we only talk about among women, but it's also teaching men and boys how to do it in a safe and healthy kind of way. So.
Absolutely. And I think the power of social media now, I mean, that's where we consume a lot of our information. So, you know, for us as a brand, we're very thoughtful in the kind of content that we push out. It's ensuring that we have a lot of education-based content, obviously done in a way that's hopefully captivating to a younger audience. So across our social media channels in different formats that really highlight different aspects about menstrual health and well-being. So not just about that 1 week of your period, but even other factors like your lifestyle, nutrition. You should exercise during your period, all these sorts of factors that could influence hormonal health, hormonal balance, and that of course ties into your period health overall. You know, and I think you're mentioning also about having periods is a healthy sign, but at the same time, there are a lot of women who are suffering in silence, who don't know they have endometriosis or PCOS or dysmenorrhea or amenorrhea. I mean, there's so many health challenges, right, in this space. And again, if we are empowered and equipped with the knowledge to start understanding why our body is going through maybe certain challenges, maybe compared to other women, women are able to take action and start to help manage the challenges that they're facing during their menstruation cycle a lot faster. So I think it's important that whoever it can be, whether you're a social media influencer or a business or just a normal person and wanting to make change in your workplace or in or in your kid's school as a
Yes.
parent, we should speak up about it and let's ask for support,
Yes.
right? Let's ask for change to happen and ask for more menstrual equity.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's just keep on talking about it and have that open conversation with your young ones, and also being an inspiration to those parents out there who maybe still have some fear when it comes to being very open with their young ones as well. And as soon as we keep this conversation going, you know, something, inshallah, might change in the future. Thank you so much, ladies, for being with me today. It's been lovely. I always feel like the conversation's not enough, you know, it's so short.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing. Thank you so much for watching, my lovely audience. Hope to see you guys next week. Do leave some note on our Women Talk Instagram page, or give us some ideas on what topic should we discuss about next. See you guys next week.